Hi everybody, and welcome to lesson 4 of our measurement unit. Today we're going to be looking at conversions within the metric system. So let's jump right into it. Okay, we have this chart that's going to help us out, and if you notice here, I've highlighted in blue the three most common units that we come across, and that is the meter, the gram, and the liter. Obviously, they all measure different things. The meter is a measure of distance. The gram is a measure of weight, and liter is a measure of liquid quantity. Okay, but the most basic ones, and these are called the unit measurements. They are the meter, the gram, and the liter. Okay, so let's first start um, with good reference for all of these measurements, and let's start with the distance ones first. So we have the meter, and a meter we might know is the length of a step. Okay, and then if we get bigger, which means we're going to go to the left on this chart. Well, the first one that we're going to come across is the decameter. Well, the decameter is just 10 meters, and then we keep going and we get into the hectometer, which is 100 meters, kilometers, 1,000 meters. Then we're going to skip 3 and jump right into megameter, which is 1,000,000 meters or 1,000 kilometers. And then finally we skip 3 more and we get into a billion meters. Okay, that's going bigger. On the other side, we have a decimeter, which is 1/10 of a meter, centimeter, which is 1/100th of a meter, millimeter, 1,000th. And again, we're going to skip 3 decimal places, jump right to the micrometer, which is 1/1,000,000th of a meter, and then 1/1,000,000,000th of a meter is the nanometer. Okay, now if you notice these abbreviations, these prefixes, giga, mega, kilo, they're going to be consistent. It doesn't matter if you're using meters, grams, or liters, they're going to stay consistent. For example, a kilometer in the weight version of grams is just a kilogram, or we're all used to seeing kilograms, and a kiloliter is the equivalent in the liters. Okay, so these things stay consistent, which is really nice because that's one thing about the metric system, is there's a lot of consistency as opposed to the imperial system where the names completely change. Okay, what I will do now is kind of go through the different reference, so you get a nice picture of what all these measurements mean. So let's just jump right into the meter. The meter is about a length of your step. That would make a decameter about 10 steps. A hectometer is 100 steps, or if you can't picture 100 steps, well, 100 meters would be the length of the 100-meter dash, okay, or the length of a soccer field. A kilometer is the length of 1,000 steps, or let me show you a picture here, or the length of the Lions Gate Bridge. And again, this is not very accurate, but from maybe about here where the bridge starts and then right as you get in Stanley Park is about a kilometer. Now jumping further ahead, which is a megameter, this one's really hard to imagine because that is 1,000,000 meters. You're not going to be able to imagine 1,000,000 steps or figure out how far you're going to get if you do take 1,000,000 steps. But it is basically 1,000 kilometers, and 1,000 kilometers is the length of British Columbia, or maybe some of these pictures here, the length of California or Italy or Texas. There's a few other pictures here, some of the moons around Pluto. Okay. Finally, we have the gigameter, which gets really big, and that is 1,000,000,000 meters. And a nice reference for that is the distance from the Earth to the moon, or the width of the sun, or the diameter of the sun, I should say. Okay, going the other way, we have decimeter and the centimeter and the millimeter. Well, the decimeter is just 1/10 of a meter. The centimeter is 1/100th of a meter, or about the length of your pinky fingernail. The decimeter would therefore be about the width of your palm. The millimeter is about the thickness of a toonie. And then micrometer and nanometer, a little bit harder to imagine, but a micrometer, about 5 micrometers, are the width of a hair, And then the nanometers, you need a microscope for that. So I'm not even going to go there. Okay, now the equivalents for the weights here, grams. Again, we have 1 gram is about the weight of a pen cap. And then we have the decagram, which is, I guess, well, 10 pen caps, or a hectogram, which is 1,000 grams. The one that you're going to see most often is a kilogram, and that's about the width of a dictionary. And the other common one is the megagram, except the common terminology for the megagram is really a ton, because it's 1,000 kilograms. And 1 ton. Well, let's see. What's a good example? So an elephant, and there's a nice elephant for you there, is about a 4, on average is about 4 tons, but they can get up to about 5-6 tons. Okay, and then if we go the other way, decigram and centigram and milligram is the one you're going to see most often, which is 1,000th of a gram. So you can only imagine how much weight is a 1,000th of a pen cap. Not a lot, but you will see, especially in medicine, take 10 milligrams a day, you're going to see those kind of measurements. Okay, microgram and nanogram are really small. We won't be able to even picture those. They're microscopic. And then let's do some liter ones. Well, a decaliter would be 10 liters. First of all, what is a liter? Well, a liter, I have here, I think, a jug of water, or about three pop cans. A decaliter would be 10 liters. Okay, hectoliter would be about well, it's exactly 100 liters. Or if we looked at the kiloliter, well, your average hot tub has about 2 kiloliters of water in it. Okay, then we have the megaliter, which is quite a bit more, because it's we're skipping 3 decimal places, and maybe all the water under the Lionsgate Bridge might be a megameter, and a gigameter is way more than that. Okay, let's look at some of the smaller ones. Okay, well, now we're going deciliter, which is 1/10 of a liter. Okay, so about 100 milligrams. Milligrams is the one you're going to see the most often, just like millimeters and milligrams. So milliliter, well, a milliliter is 1,000th of a liter, and it's about 20 drops of water. Okay, so 1 teaspoon would have about 5 milliliters of water in it. Okay, so that's kind of a good idea of just how to picture all of these measurements. Okay, now let's look at some of these conversions. And again, just looking off this table, 1 gigameter. Well, we're not going to write a billion here, so we're going to use scientific notation. So it'll be 1 times 10 to the 9, or just 10 to the 9, because the 1 doesn't do anything. 1 megameter would be 10 to the 6. 1 kilometer would be 10 to the 3, or 1,000, whatever's easier. Okay, 1 centimeter is 1/100th of a meter, so that's 2 decimal places, or 10 to the -2. 1 millimeter is 1,000th of a meter, so that's 10 to the -3. 1 micrometer is 10 to the -6 meters, and then so on. You can fill out some of these other ones. Same thing for the liters. 1 liter is 1,000 milliliters. 1, 2, 3. 1 gram would be 1,000 milligrams, and again, you can check that up here. So if you look at 1 gram, how many milligrams fit into there? Well, milligrams are here. So if 1 milligram is 1/1,000th of a gram, well, you need 1,000 of them to make 1 gram. So 1 kilogram is also 1,000 grams. Oops, there we go. Okay, and then keep going down here, 1 milliliter is, well, 1 milliliter is 1,000th of a liter, so it's going to be 10 to the -3. Same thing for the milligram and grams, 10 to the -3. And then 1 gram itself is 1,000th of a kilogram, so 10 to the -3 over here. Okay. It says here, hecto and deca are not often used nowadays. Well, again, you should, sometimes you're going to see hectometers, sometimes when you're looking at different maybe farming and areas, but we'll cover that later. Okay, let's jump to some unit conversions. And at the top here, you're going to see that you have three methods to do it. However, we're going to focus on method 3, which is the most detailed method that's going to get you through through all the different types of conversions. So we're going to skip the first two, method 1 and method 2, and jump right to method 3, as I think this is the most useful one that you're gonna use. Okay, it's called unit analysis or dimensional analysis, and you can read through this, and please do. And I'm going to just jump through a few examples, starting on example number 7 here. It says, so convert the following measurements using unit analysis. Well, what does it say here? We want to go from 12 kilometers to meters. So we always start with what we have here. So we have 12 kilometers, and we want to end up in you know, some value in meters. Okay. Well, I need to, before I can do that, I need to know the conversion rate, I should say, or in other words, how many meters. What's the relationship between meters and kilometers? Well, I know that that there are 1,000 meters in a kilometer, and again, you can check that based off of your chart up top, or you can just memorize that one because it's a common one. So, if there are 1,000 meters in 1 kilometer, and be careful here, see how I'm going to put this. I'm going to multiply my value of 12 kilometers by my conversion factor here. Okay, so again, so if I multiply 12 times 1,000, I'm going to end up with 12,000 meters. And notice, if we're going to go through the units here, notice that the kilometers, when you divide kilometers by kilometers, the kilometers cancel out, and you're left with meters. This is why this one might be a simple example here, but once you get into some more complex ones, you'll see this strategy will really keep you on track. Now we're converting nanometers to meters, and always start with what you're given. We have 2,730 nanometers, and we want to get to meters. So I'm going to multiply by my conversion factor, as it's called, and again, go look at your chart if you cannot remember the conversion factors. But make sure you put the meters on top and the nanometers on the bottom, because what you want to end up with, that's the unit you want to have on top, and the thing you want to get rid of, which is the nanometers, that's the one you want to have canceling on the bottom. Now, what is the conversion factor? Well, 1 meter is 1 billion nanometers, or 10 to the 9 nanometers. So I'll get my calculator out here, and I'm just going to go 2,730 divided by 10 to the power of 9. And I get a really small number, as I expected. It's going to be, I already forgot it, 2.73 times 10 to the negative 6. So obviously a really small number. Okay. Now again, those the other thing you want to make sure when you get your answer, ask yourself, does my answer make sense? In other words, if I'm converting kilometers to meters, well, I know kilometers are bigger than meters, so I should get quite a few more kilometers to fill those 12 kilometers. In other words, I need 12,000 kilometers to fill, 12,000 meters to fill the 12 kilometers, to equal the 12 kilometers. Okay, now let's do a few harder ones here where you have to do multiple conversions. For example, if I'm converting 0.25 gigameters to megameters, I might not know what the conversion rate is between those two, because I'm familiar with going from meters back and forth, but not from these two measurements, because they're not as common. So if I want to get these, I might have to use the meter measurement to convert this. So let's try and do that. So 0.25 gigameters. Let's first go to meters. And to go to meters, I'm going to multiply it by well, the conversion factor is going to be, again, gigameters on the bottom, and that is going to be 1 gigameter is 10 to the 9 meters. Okay, and then once I do that, well, and now look what happens. So now I'm out of gigameters and into meters, and now I'm going to use the keep going. I'm going to further multiply this to get into now finally get into megameters, and now I put meters on the bottom because I want to get rid of the meters and end up with megameters, because that is what that is the final unit I want to have. So if you, again, how many meters in a megameter? Well, 1 megameter has 10 to the 6, or in other words, 1,000,000 meters. Okay, so if I put that on my calculator, it's going to be 0.25 times 10 to the 9, 10 to the power of 9, and then finally divided by 10 to the power of 6. And I get 250 megameters. Okay, and that makes sense because I know that there are 3 decimal places between a megameter and a gigameter, because one is 1,000,000 kilometers and the other one is a billion. So I could have just taken a shortcut here and just said that 1 gigameter and then just gone straight to the gigameter megameter conversion, and that would be 1 gigameter is 1,000 megameters. But again, if you don't know that one, you might have to go to the common one of meters, and to get you where you need to go. Now let's look at this example here. When we're going multiple units, now we're not just converting meters, we're also converting time as well. So let's go ahead and do this one. So what conversion will Zimmer need to know to solve this problem? He needs to know 2 things. He needs to go from meters to kilometers, but he also needs to go from seconds to minutes. So he's got a few things to work on here. So they kind of set it up for us down here. We have 50 meters per second, and let's first go from meters to kilometers. Well, we know that 1 kilometer is 1,000 meters, and look what happens to meters, they cancel out. And then finally, I need to go from seconds to minutes, and I know that 1 minute has 60 seconds. Okay, and finally, look what happens to the seconds. Seconds is on top here, but on the bottom here, and I'm left with kilometers and minutes, and that is exactly what I wanted to end up with. So I'm going to end up with kilometers per minute. So what do we have? So we have 50 times 60 divided by 1,000. So 50 times 60. Well, that's going to give us 3,000. I knew that. Divided by 1,000, it's going to give us 3. So it's going to be 3 kilometers per minute, or maybe better written as 3 kilometers per minute, like this. Okay, so see how now when you have multiple conversions to do, this might be the best method to go with. Okay, thanks for watching, and see you next time.